It's a pleasure to be here, and we're not too far away. We're just in Marina del Rey. Today with me, we have 3 graduate students, Mike Rubenstein, and Harris Chu, and Jacob Everest. And we all work together in the same lab called the Polymorphics Robotics Lab. So what I wanted to entertain you during the lunchtime is something we've been doing for many years. I think it's now 9 years, called self-reconfigurable robots. And the software, the control software we write to control such robots, you can summarize that by, we call it digital hormones. I'll tell you what it is. Okay? So first of all, I want to dedicate this talk. I've been giving this talk many places to my advisor, Professor Herbert Simon. I don't know how many of you know about him. He's a Nobel Prize winner for economics, and he's also the founding father for artificial intelligence. And unfortunately, he passed away in 2001. So he has been my advisor since 83 to 89, and I learned a tremendous amount from him. And he's basically the model of my, not only the scientific research, but also life in general. Okay. So what I wanted to tell you today, we have 50 minutes, right? Supposedly end at 1 o'clock. We can go a little over. So because we started 10 minutes late. So I'm trying to make it in 1 hour then. So we'll tell you a little bit who we are, what do we do. And then I'll tell you what is exactly self-reconfigurable robots. Why is it interesting? And then the approach we take to build such interesting robots. And possibly, if we have time, tell you a little bit about applications and implications of such system. First, who we are. Okay, we call ourselves polymorphic robotics lab, meaning robots that can become many different shapes. Morph means shape. Okay, and in fact, we have 2 faculty members, and 2 computer scientists, and 5 PhD students, and 2 masters at the moment. So the 3 guys sit here. They're all PhD students here. Our lab, the mission of our lab is to build self-reconfigurable systems. Such systems can be robots, which we're going to talk about today. It can be also software systems, agents, and even mechanical structures or other structures, and even human organization and biological organisms. There are lots of phenomena about self-reconfiguration in the nature. So we are trying to capture or to research in this broad area. In the past, we have done some interesting stuff. One of them, if you see there's a picture here, the middle guy is a robot we call EngEDU that does indoor navigation. In 1996, it showed up in Alan Alda's Scientific American Frontier by winning the 2nd place in a national competition of robotics. This medium-sized one are the soccer robots. They are autonomous systems that play soccer against each other. So in 1997, our team, we call ourselves Dream Team, win the World Championship in Japan, in Nagoya, Japan. And I'm going to show you a short movie of that. And then the little guys are the reconfigurable modules, early version. And then we have a bigger one, and that's the one that you see on the table. So first, the soccer robots. Do we have a phone? Oh. Okay. I figure Google should have everything here. Yeah, that last one. Yeah, thanks. Great. That's okay.
Sorry, it's not up there.
Oh, I could play again.
Okay, you might want to start over again. Yeah, that's as high as I can get to go.
Okay. Those are not robots, by the way. CNN did this because after we win the world champion, that year we have 8 graduate students and 5 robots. These 5 robots, they all have cameras, all the decision-making things, and the field is about half of the size of this room, 8 meters by 5 meters. And they're green. The 2 goals are colored, one yellow, the other green. The floor is green, and the wall is white, and the ball is red. So these robots, you turn on the power, blow a whistle, and they start hitting each other. And that year, we scored 9 goals out of 12 goals of the entire tournament. Unfortunately, 2 of the 9 goals are against ourselves. So you can see there are problems there. Okay. All right, so that's 1997. So then after that, we started working on the self-reconfigurable robots. So what do I mean by self-reconfigurable robots? These are the robots that are eventually we're able to change their shape and size by themselves. Depends on the environment and task you want them to do. So you can imagine such a robot sees a pipe or a very narrow space, and they can become a snake, go through it. Afterwards, if they need to climb stairs or obstacles or slope, they can grow legs. I mean, literally grow legs. And then if the terrain is downhill, they can simply become a ball and roll. And sometimes we joke with our friends, we're trying to build a baby version of the T-1000 robots in Terminator 2. Okay? Of course, we don't have the liquid metal. All we have are the small modules you see here. They should be able to look for each other and connect to each other and forming different shape. And the possible applications could be space, military application, underwater, and many other possibilities. So one possible application is for space. Because right now, NASA is building a lot of robots for different purposes. And you gotta have a rover. You have robots that specially designed to climb some very steep slope. And you have this arm stick out and moving things around. But even though they are successful in the past, we don't want to continually build too many special robots because there's so many things to do up there on the moon, on the Mars. If you have too many of them, it would be too expensive to ship them there. So the goal here is to build one robot with lots of modules and ship them there, and they can change. Say, today you want them dig. They forming a digging machine. Tomorrow you want them to explore, and then they all separate and spread out in the area, do certain things. And the day after, maybe you want them to do some construction. So you change them. That's the deal. So there's a key word there is retasking and reusing, because the modules, you can use them for different purpose. Recovering, if you encounter some unexpected failures, these robots can recover. For example, if you step into some crack and your leg stuck there, right? Normally, if you're normal robots, you're going to stuck there forever. And this guy can literally cut his leg and keep going. Okay. And also, last one is reducing the cost. So because you can use the same module to do many different purposes. So this Superbot project is something we call modular, multifunctional, and self-reconfigurable. And just in the last 2 weeks, the movies you're about to see here has been pop up in many, many places on the internet. So now you can type Superbot on Google, and you get a lot of hits for that. So it's something that we are very happy about, and it was a surprise to us too. So here is a picture of that vision for space. You see that on the left-hand side, there is a robot trying to climb really steep slope. And there is a rover on the moon. And there is something fly inside the space shuttle. And you can take one of these modules, put a little jet there, and then they can fly in the microgravity environment. And also, you can put this all together with a long chain, and then they can acting like a long arm. And you can also put them into a human figure to be a astronaut's look and to do assistant astronauts. Our original goal, this is Superbot project was started in 2004, sponsored by NASA. The original goal is to be able to build 100 of these modules, pack them into a very tight configuration, like you see on the left side, the cartoon there. And have you fly over a desert and drop this package on the desert. And then they wake up, and then they reconfigure into a rolling track, find a sand dune nearby, and roll to the sand dune. At the bottom of the sand dune, it will reconfigure to become a legged position, configuration and climb the sand dune. Once on top of the sand dune, and they will reconfigure into a little structure you see there to protect a group of seeds with little water and soil inside, and sits there for a week or two until the seeds sprout into some little plants. That's our original goal. And that was how Superbot started. And NASA, at that time, will say they will give us $28 million just do this. Now, they cut the budget, so we suffered, and now we're only building 20 modules. I'm not going to the desert. So. But I thought it's interesting to show you the original implication. So up to now, we have completed 20 modules. We have done a lot of multifunctional demos. You will see the movies I'm going to show you. And we have did some limited version of self-reconfiguration. So I'm going to show you some of those little by little. And then please, if you have a question while you are not eating, you can ask me. And, okay? So this is the 20 modules all together when fresh out of press and all assembled. So we took a picture before we kind of contaminate them or make them dirty. So inside each module, this one, for example, it has 3 degrees of freedom. So you can do, this is a pitch, yaw. I never remember which one's pitch, which one yaw. And the middle one you can roll. The middle rotation right now allows you continue roll, but we can only control it for like 270 degrees controlled movement. And both of these sides can be plus or minus 90 degrees. These modules also have 6 connectors. In a sense, there's one connector in there in the middle. If you later on you want to see in the middle. You have front connector, back connector, up, down, left, right. So other modules can dock and connect and forming different shape. It has 2 little microcontrollers, Atmega 128, and runs the C program. A lot of you are interested in about the software here. We are running a small real-time operating system called AVRX, and you be able to program real-time tasks, multi-threads. And you can have one task control motor 1, and the other task control the communication. Each of the connectors have infrared communications, allow them to talk to each other, and also allow them to see each other when in some distance. So all the 6 connectors all have this capability. So you can talk to 6 neighbors, up to 6 neighbors if you want. And also have internal sensors. It can sense a orientation that has 3D accelerometers inside. And also have current sensor, voltage sensor, other sensors in it. Okay? So let me show you some of the movies first. First of all, I want to show you the movement of a single module. Then I'll show you the movement of a different configuration. Then I'll show you how do they reconfigure. Okay, so just step by step with many movies. So one module, in some sense, is already a complete robot because they can move forward, backwards, left, right, upside down, or any way you want. Okay, and they have their own batteries and control and everything. Sensor, actuators, and controls, they're all there. Some gates are funny. For example, you can even have these genetically algorithm discovered what do we call a junking movement, and that looks like someone had too much drink. And that was Jacob kicking it, yeah. So that just shows that single module you can have programmed to do a lot of different activities. And also, we use onboard batteries. Oops, sorry, I didn't realize that has a sound. So that's just a movie shows. One time we did it, have the modules running back and forth on the hallway for about 700 meters. So it's on battery. And we're using iPod batteries here, 4 iPod batteries. Last about a little bit more than 2 hours, I would say. And less than 3, probably. Okay? And I mentioned earlier, you can have sensors. So in this case, this is Mike trying to drink some Coke. He put a cup on top of this module. And he wrote a program. No matter how you tilted the base, it never spills. That's great for waiters when you deliver food in a restaurant. But it's terrible when you're trying to drink it because the cup doesn't tilt. So he has another movie show that when you're trying to drink it, it's really difficult. But this is an example of feedback control in single module. Okay. And they also can synchronize, and they can collaborating if you let them communicate to each other. In this case, 4 modules are doing what we call synchronized swimming. Just have them doing the same thing. We might have a better movie in the future that to show that. Okay. Now, those are the single modules, right? Now imagine you connect them together. What kind of a configuration you can come up with? It basically, in principle, it's endless. First of all, you can chain them together with a long snake, if you like. Or you can have them grow legs on the side. You can have a centipede. Put as many as legs you want. And you can have trees, arbitrary trees. Okay? And you can have loops by connecting them into a loop. And then on top of the loop, on the side of the loop, you can have legs if you wanted to make a, say, octopus. You make a loop in the middle, you get 8 legs on the side, and you get an octopus. So this is a picture that you see there are different configurations. And the front is a 4-legged creature, and then there is a two kind of a branching thing, and then there's a snake with 4 modules and 5 modules, and there's the 3 modules that are standing up. Okay. Now, by manually configure all these different configurations, you take one, you say, today I wanted to program a 6-leg. You basically grab maybe 9 of these modules, connect, right? And then you load your program, each module, we are running the same program, and then and you have the remote control here. And you turn it on, and they will move. Let me just do it for you. So this is a remote control. It has a little radio inside. If I turn them on, after 6 seconds, they will wake up and doing different things. So this one will do a little caterpillar one. Those two are communicating to each other and then doing a synchronized caterpillar. Okay? And I can turn off the motor, and then they stop. And I turn on the motor, they continue. And I can turn off the power. So later on, if you want, you can play a little bit, not too much. Okay. So you see, okay, these are the longer. One case is a longer caterpillar. This is a stronger caterpillar with a larger wave. This is something that we did at the Marina del Rey beach. We get tired inside indoor programming, so we go out. So maybe you can think of Google, think of something, then you go walk on beach. It would be nice. And people come and say, because I show this on the East Coast, in a cold place. They say, wow, you must spend a lot of time on the beach. Yeah. So you see that it makes interesting footprints along the way. Mike also experienced when he was doing this on the beach, seagulls come. And they were curious about, what is this? And can they eat it? So it was funny. That's the sound of the beach. And also the wind. So the black skin is actually to prevent the sand to get into the module, okay? And it's a very high-tech thing. It's actually just ladies' socks. We put it on. Yeah. Okay. Then there are other locomotions for chain configuration, or if you have a T configuration. You have 2 legs in the front with a tail. I'll show you. The one thing about the chain is you can move sideways. And also you can move like a butterfly. This is the T configuration. Basically, 2 legs in the front with a little tail. Looks like a scorpion. And if you have a longer tail, the tail can certainly stand up trying to do something to you. One thing we talk about, we never did it. This can be used by, say, law enforcement. If you wanted to arrest some bad guys, and you let these robots, quickly the robots will surround your body and tie it up, and you kind of under arrest. So whatever. And they can also climb, as I mentioned, to climb steep slope. This is indoor, maybe close to 45-degree angle on a carpet. Because the center of gravity is so low, and they can climb really steep slope. We also did it in the LA, what's the name of the creek? What was it? Huh? Flo, okay. Florence Creek, or whatever. You know the LA River, sometimes they dry up, there's a bank. It's about 45 degrees. So we put our robots there and have them climb. All these are because we have a part of as an agreement with NASA. We have to demonstrate these modules will be able to run on battery for 1 kilometer, able to climb really steep slope, and even sand dunes. So we're working on that. This is a sand dune climb. Again, it's on the beach. It's not too successful because the leg will dig into the sand. So it doesn't move the body too much. So we are thinking all sorts of ways to improve it so eventually it can climb a sand dune. There's one nice sand dune park in Manhattan Beach Park. I don't know if you know about that place. And eventually, we're going to be able to climb that sand dune there. This is also using a caterpillar trying to climb the sand dune. And again, because the weight and the sand softness, it doesn't make too much progress. Okay. And for faster movement, rolling track is an interesting one. So in this movie, is a 6-module configured into a loop, stand up and roll. And Harris is in charge of that, and they're working hard to make it better, to make it smoother and run faster. In the future, we should be taking these to maybe a running field with 400 meters, have them run 2.5 circles, and then we deliver what we promised to NASA. So interesting part of the rolling track is they should be able to stand up if in case they fall down. You look carefully how it stands up. And then they can turn along the way. There's another way to stand up. And then keep going, okay? And also, in order to able to control their moving direction, you can put 2 rolling track together. Okay. For some reason, I can only click once. I don't know. Okay, we'll see that later. This is another interesting behavior. You can have a rope between 2 buildings, and this robot be able to climb from one end to the other. Okay, Jacob has been working on this too. So this is a movie that we did on the roof of our parking lot. You see that they have little grabbers. Right now, it's just 2 tubes that they can twist, hold on it, and move the other leg. And let it go, and twist the other one, let it go, like this. Go. And we're hoping that by having the rope vertical, it will be able to climb up, to climb a building, or go down to do some other. Yeah. That's the traffic you hear on the Lincoln Avenue. Okay, for tree-shaped robots, you can certainly have something like a human legs. Not quite human leg. Our leg bent this way, this leg bent sideways. But it's tough to have it balance and then moving along. And you can have more leg. This is a 6-legged robots, and then move a little bit similar to the Star Wars thing, the big robots thing. Okay. And I also mentioned they have internal sensors. You already see this movie. And these 2 movies shows that they will able to stand up by themselves. Each module can lift, is powerful enough to lift the other 2 modules if you have them straight. However, it's not strong enough to lift 3, 4, or 5. So in order to stand up with 4 or 5 modules without falling down, they have to constantly use the center of gravity information to allow them to move in a funny way to stand up. That's the 2 movies shows that. You can also have an arbitrary tree with 1 root. It's like you're standing on 1 leg. Every module is reporting to each other their center of gravity information, and then they compute with the global center of gravity, and then be able to move and standing on that 1 leg. So these are useful for future when you work on a very tough terrain and be able to stand on one leg and move in a certain way. You see, they are very careful because it's not easy to have them stand on one side. So if I put them like this, if I don't touch them, it will fall down easily. Because right now they're not apply force. They just, this is okay. But if you touch it, it will fall down. Okay. They can also do other interesting things, like bury themselves into a pile of peanuts for the packaging, and go through a rubble and then into a pipe, and then after the pipe, climbing a little slope. We tried that bury thing on the beach. I dig and didn't go too deep because when you're coming this way, the sand is coming back. And so we have to think more. Okay? And then we also want them to work on soft objects. This is a gate that's designed to be able to roll on a net. So it needs little help by providing a little grippers at the end of the thing. So right now we just use a little help. And you will see they kind of one side roll, the other side roll, and the middle roll, and keep rolling on the net. And you can apply the same gate on the net with a little help. By the way, people download this movie, and then someone even added on music to the movie. There's really nice music, and synchronize all this movement. I don't know how to do that. So that just to give you a flavor how eventually it will be able to move on the net. And also carry sensors. One interesting feature of these robots is, suppose you have some special tools and you wanted to be able to have the robots carry it. As long as that tool has a standard connector, you can connect to it. So we have a part that has a little camera and a wireless communication. You can connect to them. And then they will talk to this module through the infrared, and they become a part of the robots. Suppose you have a screwdriver or a glove, whatever, and you can put it on with the standard connector. Then it has a special module that you can do things with it. So that is the climbing configuration you saw earlier, and with the part at the back of the robots. And this is what the robot sees when they move. And you can send the command to the robots every turn left and right. In other words, you can leave the robot somewhere else, and you're sitting in this room, and you see what the robot sees, and you can control it. Kind of remote control thing. And you see Jacob sits there. I think that's Mike, right? That you sit, Jacob sit on sofa. That two leg is who? Who's two leg? Mike. Yeah. Okay. You can see sometimes we abuse them. Okay, so carrying a payload is also a challenge task because this robot has a lot of lots of motors by itself. One of the challenges people always ask us is how much weight can you carry? So we figure out one possibility that can carry a lot of weights. So this is a way. You have put your payloads into a long thin cylinder maybe, and you put on the Superball modules along that cylinder and have them roll like that. And you see here. Right now, this configuration, they're all superable modules in it. But you can have the cylinders in middle with the payload, and then you connect the modules on the side, as many as you want, and have them roll. So that way, they can at least, we hope, to carry their own a weight that is equivalent to their body weight. I cannot imagine what this look like. I mean, there's no creature that does this thing. Okay, so, and you can also use it as a conveyor belt by transfer dirt from one side to the other. This we have done it by hand. We're going to program this and have them, moving dirt from one side to the other, or some other objects from one side to the other. This is just a demonstration that is possible. And you can easily program to do such a thing. Now, the stuff I showed you so far is what we call multifunctional, based on whatever configuration you give them, and each configuration can do different things, and it can be easily to do many tasks. Now, the question is, how do they reconfigure? Here is one simulation, configure from one long chain to become a four-legged robots. They have to dock, de-dock, dock, then doing this kind of thing. And you have to plan them, what is the best way to do such thing. You have an initial configuration, you have a target configuration, what are the minimum number of actions you take to allow them to change from one shape to the other. Okay, that's a simulation. Now, in reality, first of all, you have to find your buddies, right? Say you wanted to become a bigger body, and two guys wants to come together. They should be able to find. So first of all, they have to search. They use their infrared looking for buddies, for example. This is one way to be able to look around. And two guys together can use those gates. One guy is looking, the other one is standing, just emitting the infrared signal, say, I'm here, come. The other guy comes towards you. Okay. And then also, if you don't know who they are, where they are, and you have to do a little search. So this movie shows one robot has two modules, are turning around, sending signals, trying to say, is anybody there? Is anybody there? Okay. And then if someone receives that signal, it should be able to reply, says, yes, I'm here. So then it will go. You see, it's receive a signal, say, and then adjust the direction, and then move towards it. I read somewhere on the internet, there's one guy specifically like this movie, saying that feel sympathetic for this little guy trying to connect with their buddies. There still have a lot of open questions. For example, the connector right now we have on the module is a manual connector. It requires humans to look at them and dock and have a screw. And the new version of the connector coming soon, it will be automatic. Okay. So first step to reconfiguration is to be able to find each other and come in and do things together. Also, when you have a bigger robot, if you wanted to separate them and cut that leg off, cut the head off, or whatever, Can they still survive? That's the question. So we call them as a relentless or resilient to shape changes. In these robots, we deliberately cut the body in half. And the front part says, boy, I used to have someone behind me, but not anymore. It looks at his own current body, says, I only have 2 legs, therefore I should do a butterfly. So it moves like a butterfly now. The later part also wakes up when time out, when it's waiting for the message to return, and look and says, I used to have someone in front of me, but not anymore. My current body has 2 legs, therefore I do a butterfly. Now, you can put them back again. You can even swamp the upper body with the lower body. And they will stop again and say, look, our body changed again. What is the best way to move? And then it will switch back to the 4-leg movement. So we often tell our kids, don't do that at home to yourself. Don't cut. Basically, in these robots, you can literally cut the head off, and then they're still able to do things. They will not die. So another illustration is, it depends on how things are connected. They will do different behaviors. You saw it on the left-hand side. In this movie, we're trying to show when the 2 modules are connected like this. Okay. But if as soon as I turn on this one as well, so now 2 modules talk to each other, and they're doing a butterfly. When at the time we make that movie, we haven't got the radio control. That's why I was manually. And then we'll become something called we call a butterfly stroke. Okay. So now, if I turn them, take them apart, and then we'll go back to the original individual behaviors. And this one keeps doing sidewinder, and this one will become a action. So this little demonstration shows the modules are totally autonomous, but at the same time, when they are working together, they can collaborate among themselves to do this. Okay. So there are even more striking capabilities. Say this is an early version of a smaller module. You can start with 3 small robots and dynamically connect them, and then we become a single one. This is starting with a sidewinder. If you take a piece from the body, connect it to the side, that piece will become a leg immediately. And then you keep doing, take a piece from the body, put another leg until they have 4 legs, and now they can move along by themselves. So this is something we call life surgery, in the sense that you don't need to shut them down. You can rearrange the body parts when you want. Now you have 4 legs, you can go. The reason they will become a leg because everybody is constantly detecting how do they connect to their neighbors, to therefore conclude where they are in the body. It depends on the location in the body, they will decide what to do by themselves. Now, in addition to use hand to configure them, they can also autonomously configure by themselves. In this case, in the top movie shows 2 modules connect, aligned, and then they come together. And this is an early version of a connector. They will connect and become one. This movie shows that the tail comes over, connects to the middle, and disconnect the loop and become a T shape and moving around. This is a so-called, we call it self-reconfiguration. So we're still working on the bigger ones and doing the same capability. Okay. Now a little bit technical. This is only maybe 5 to 10 minutes. I will show you a glimpse of what is inside the software. So naturally, for this kind of a system, you have to consider 3 big areas. Mechanics systems, how the things are connected, electronics, and then the distributed control. Okay? For you guys, maybe the distributed control is a little more interesting because we said it could do shape-dependent behavior, and body parts can reshuffling, reconfigure, and also there is not only they change shape, they can do mobile movement and possibly in the future manipulation. So from software control point of view, here are the list of challenges that you have to address before you can write a good program for these robots. First of all, I mentioned there is no fixed brain module for these robots. You can cut the head off, and somewhere else will take over. Furthermore, there's no even global unique identifiers. This is something very unique about these robots. And even you look at any PC or any system, you open it up, every component's got to have an ID. Internet, everybody has to have an IP address. However, in biological system, the little cells, they come and go, they die, whatever. I don't think they have name, yet they always come together, manage to do things great together. That's why we were pushing ourselves. Didn't even give them names, no name. Furthermore, task negotiation means if one module says, I want to move forward, the other says, no, I want to move backwards, what are you going to do? So they have to negotiate among themselves to settle down a reasonable task. Behavior selection I mentioned is every module needs to decide what to do, not only based on who they are, but based on where they are in the body. That's called a behavior selection. And you can also, dynamic, you can think of these little guys with a lot of little computers connect to each other, forming a small network, or internet. However, the topology of internet changes every time you reconfigure the robots. So it's a dynamic topology you have to deal with. Asynchronous means every module have their own little clock, but there's no global clock. So my watch could be like 12:55, and that watch is 12:56, and your watch could be 12:52. Yet, when they connect together, they have to synchronize in order to produce a desired global behavior. Scalability. And you really don't know beforehand what kind of shape and size these robots will eventually become to in a certain environment. So whatever software you write has to be able to be flexible enough to deal with many different shape and size. Okay. Now, of course, eventually, we want them, we don't have yet, have themselves decide what kind of shape to become to. For example, suppose I want to grab that drink. Right now, because I'm a human, I have to walk around and then get it, right? If I'm a robot like them, I can take my left arm off, connect to my right arm, and try to reach it. If it's not enough, I take my leg and put another one, and then we grab that. So things like this is very challenging, and you can imagine what kind of jobs need to be done. So people have been working on these in a different area. If you imagine different area, we have a different solution. But we're looking for one solution to allow them to handle many cases. So this is something we call, finally, we're now talking about digital hormone and hormone-inspired control. This is an idea borrowed from the biological system. Imagine a system or a biological system like myself, if someone scare me from behind, there's a chemicals flooding in my blood and causing different body parts to do different reaction. So in this case, a hormone in this system is nothing but a content-based message. It has no identifier, no address. It's just floating inside. And it has a lifetime. And the key part is this message will trigger different actions at a different place. Really depends on who you are. So you have one message flood into your system. The legs will decide to jump, and your mouth will decide to open, and your eyes will pop. They're all one signal. Okay? And they're different from broadcasting because along the way of propagating, things get changed. There's no guarantee that everybody gets the same copy. And there's no external deposit like a pheromone. I don't know if you're familiar with multi-agent control. Some people use pheromone trying to mimic the ants. When the ants go out search for food, they deposit something along the way so the other ants can follow. In this case, everything is internal. Eventually, we wanted to be able to use this, not only program them, but also dynamically change their behavior on the fly. We haven't done that yet. Okay, so then 5 minutes, I will show you some quick examples. And you can imagine how things are connected. These are the 1 module, 2 module, 4 module, and 6 module. Each module inside, they have a orientation front, back, left, and right. And everybody is running the same program, and it depends on where they are to decide the actions. And you can see, use them for many different purposes, such as communication, locomotion, and reconfiguration, etc. So I can give you an example of how this thing works. Say you have 6 modules want to move in a caterpillar. And the easy way or centralized way is to send a message to every one of them and say, now go do it. But if you use this approach, you can send one message to your neighbor. Just say, here's what I'm doing, and you decide what do you do. And then this message propagates, everybody select their action, and they start doing things. By the time the message goes to the very end, that guy says, I don't have any neighbors anymore. So because the topology is different, it decides to send a synchronization message back. That synchronization message, when you receive such thing, you look at your own action, see if you finished or not. If you haven't finished, you hold on that message until you finish and you propagate. So by the time this signal backs to the first guy, the guy says, OK, everybody has done their job. It's time for another wave, something like that. So why bother to do these things? One advantage is you can cut the robots in half. You don't need to change the program. It will work the same way. Furthermore, you don't care how long the snake is. Okay? So these kind of things are interesting. And this is another example how things are changing from one 4-legged creature to a snake. What it does is the tail comes over to connect one of the foot, then disconnect from the hip. So a leg becomes part of your tail. And this new tail come over, connects to another foot, and disconnect the hip, and become a longer tail. And you keep doing this until there's no more leg left, then you become a snake. Okay? And this is something that you can do it distributedly without any centralized control. I will not have time to tell you the details. And you can use this approach for many other purposes of distributed control, other things you need to do. And I will skip this. Application-wise, you can apply this principle to real biological system. If you're interested, I'll tell you more about that. And also swarm of robots, assembly in space, and underwater robots, and also self-healing system. So if you have a system, something goes wrong, you can literally take a human body and cut it in half, not human body, somebody's body, And then these two halves will become a too little human. Well, of course, human cannot do that, but some creatures can do that, and we're working on that. Can you imagine? That would be good. So let me conclude. So it's 1:05, so it's okay. Self-reconfiguration is a very fundamental research topic. We always say it's a gold mine. You keep digging, there are a lot of things come out. And they also have many possible applications. For example, search and rescue. When the building collapsed, and you want to send the robots to be able to change and go anywhere they want to. And fix the shape, robots might not be able to do that. Homeland security and self-assembly in space, smart structures, and many other possibilities. So finally, I wanted to appreciate your attention. Here's a little robot. All right. So thank you very much. That's it. Yeah. So by the way, all the movies are actually at the website. Show up at the website. It's www.eyesight.edu/robots. Or you just type Superbot in Google and you find it. Thank you very much. Yeah.